Okay, it's the time and let's get started. So welcome everyone. Today is March 28th. This is the Database Scalability Working Group weekly sync-up meeting. Let's get started from the agenda. The first update is from me from the sharding group, several items there. First one is the sharding group actually wrote a script to generate a large load to the staging. So this will get us stage 4 rolling out ready. And also the IMR to clean up the use model load balancing feature flag and the GitLab use model load balancing environment variable that was merged finally. Master was broken last week, but finally it got merged. So we are okay to start rolling out phase 4 staging by tomorrow. So we will do that tomorrow. And then the phase 6 blocker, the CI owned runners query timeout. This we had several attempts in the past, but didn't work out. So team spent more time last week, figured out 2 short-term workarounds. One is for QE to clean up the groups after the end-to-end test. So this is a temporary solution for the QE group. And then another optimization in the query here done by the sharding group. So we are pursuing making good progress on both short-term workarounds. Fabian made a note. Is Fabian here? No, I will verbalize. So basically, the sharding group's query optimization looks like promising and maybe enough to unblock us. So we'll get this merged, and also the QE, the group cleanup MR, we shall also get it merged. It will help from multiple perspectives. So thank you very much. And long-term solution we'll discuss in the risks below, in the risks section below. And for more context of this blocker, can follow that Slack thread to get more context. So any questions?
I was wondering, is there a write-up somewhere that explains kind of what this issue is? I'm looking at it now, and I guess I'm just trying to understand, like, what are we joining and why? And we don't need to go through all that now, but is that information on the issue?
There was an issue, and this issue was discovered on February 23rd. So there was an issue. I'll find out that issue for that. Yeah, basically it times out, and we'll discuss it. We have a discussion here.
It's about that relationship, I guess, from users to runners, and so that crosses the, like, users will be in the main database, and then runners is in the CI database, and there's performance issues there. Is that a fair summary?
It's a query performance when there's a feature that in the admin panel you can assign runners to a user based on your group. So that query will traverse all the groups to see what runners you can reassign to a product. So that is where the problem is. Just to, discover the runners you can reassign.
Okay, thanks. That
yes
helps. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, like the problem is, like, we have this feature that you can see all the runners of all projects of which you are maintainer of. And being maintainer is being assigned as a project member or assigned as a group member at the maintainer level. And effectively, you as a user, you may be assigned to 1,000 of namespaces. On GitLab.com, if you look at the comment of mine, we have some users which seems to be clearly abused to create 10,000 namespaces. Now, if each of these namespace, you have 10,000 projects. And in some cases, you have one runner, you kind of traversing a lot of projects to find very specific runner. The problem is like that we use that to show the list of the runners that you can assign based on this very wide search. This is paginated. This is cross-joining databases. So since you have like 10,000 namespaces, we need to pull data, 10,000 IDs from one database into another database, which is always the problem. But also, like we do this so for some security check. So technically, before it was already very inefficient because of this very high amplification factor. But we just made it worse with the decomposition because we kind of need to move data away through Ruby from one place into another, where previously Postgres would do a fine job of optimizing it. So yes, like there were different suggestions. One of the suggestions was like to kill this feature completely, but it seems to be unlikely because it's actually being used actively, and people use this feature and they like it. So after checking like the usage of this feature, it seems to be like 100,000 of runners using this model. But there are some probably approaches to rework the relation, because currently the hardest relation is like to find all your runners that you can assign in another project. And the idea was like, if we could like twist around it, if I have this runner, can I assign this to this specific project? So like rewriting the relation, this relation then check is pretty simple at that moment, but this is pretty significant overhaul because of API expose and other aspects. So the fact is like there's no easy like a win, but we do have some optimization that seems to be decent enough on GitLab.com. But this problem will strike again after some point. So maybe we are fine for now with this optimization, but it's still like in the validation phase. But this is something that we need to look at us from the functional point of view, because like, I mean, in every case, like cross-checking so many entries, it simply will not work. It's impossible to traverse 1 million of entries to find 10 runners, basically. It simply will not work in every dimension. So probably we need to kind of rethink how to approach this problem differently, but still retain the core function.
Makes sense. Yeah, thanks for that. It's a random idea, but could we use like Elasticsearch or something? Like if we like indexed all the runners with a attribute, maybe that's getting, I could suggest that someplace else if we want to move on with the agenda.
It's very long shot from my perspective, if you ask me.
I'll read up more on it.
However, there is like ongoing discussion from the runner team to improve runner management, and probably this is an aspect that if they look at that problem holistically, this is maybe something that should be reworked by them, because they are also interested about clear ownership of runners. So who created the runner? So maybe by doing much better ownership of runner instead of like this very implicit group and member-based ownership that we are kind of trying to devise today, would effectively solve this problem, retain this function, but maybe be more strict, but also more secure. Because on the one hand, there is some usability problem and some security problem with the current feature as is. So there is probably like a room to improve this feature on performance, usability, and security as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
I guess that pretty much covers the bullet number 4, the risks. A good discussion of the review of what problems we are running into. But since we already started that conversation, I'll just skip number 3 and circle back after that. So now everybody is clear what problem we are running into. And this is so basically we need a solution, ultimate solution to get this feature working. And our timeline, we're going to, right now the ETA of this project, the decomposition is May 22nd. So we will need the solution around that time. Otherwise, the customers may be at risk to run into the same problem, but we don't know. We don't know how much chance that is because we don't have data, but there could be cases like this set up by customer. So possible options, any option will require PM's perspectives and the decisions here together with the engineering team. So deprecation, that's one option, and or re-architect. And basically, Camille described what needs to be architected here to make the feature work performantly. And right now, this even with a single database, this feature is still quite expensive and not performing very well.
I'm kind of giving myself like about 90% confidence that we will be able like to fix the performance for the GitLab.com. So maybe this deadline, we can move that into future, but it's still like 90%. I'm trying different data sets. It seems very promising. However, I think it's not the end of the story because there will be still some edge cases and structural deficiency in that we need to solve at some point. Maybe it's not gonna be May 22nd, so maybe we are not gonna be blocked for the decomposition. I think this is my goal right now. But it's still like potential risk into the future. And it's definitely gonna be risk into probably on-premise installation when we're gonna be one to run the composition as well. But there is like the cascading effect of a lot of changes that we are lining up that we're gonna be running the composition in a very specific configuration that we're gonna have to unwind later to make it, let's say, on-premise available as well. So I'm still optimistic, but I think it's not end of the story, even if I manage to fix, to alleviate, sorry, not fix, alleviate the problem on GitLab.com in the validated test cases that I get data out of GitLab.com. And I can still give you like probably 10 of other test cases that it's gonna break, but most of them will not happen on GitLab.com.
I think we can discuss exact solutions offline with the runner group. Also, I want to verbalize Fabian's notes here. First, of course, improvements looks like it's going to work, will be sufficient. So it's not a S1, but S2 for the ops group. And yeah, we can assess the relevant relative importance against other work. So, but we will ship decomposition and won't wait unless absolutely necessary. So we will ship the decomposition according to our schedule. And also, if the Camille's fix eventually turns out that's not sufficient to work around, then the re-architecture, we will have to work closely together to get this feature re-architected and implemented as soon as possible. But based on Camille's suggested comments just a second ago, we are optimistic that this is going to work. So we'll see. We'll just monitor the status. And also, Cheryl already asked with regards to look at the issue to get the context.
I can follow up with Cheryl, but do we know, is Darren and the like runner verify PMs, are they aware of this?
Yeah, JK was notified of this. Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. That's the conversation around this sticky problem. And then circle back to bullet number 3, review the progress charts. So our open development issues ticked up a little bit, and also so do the open MRs. Most of these issues and MRs are related to phase 5 and 6. So we are actually finding the issues and making progress ahead of entering phase 6. So that's not a bad thing. I mean, we are working ahead of the schedule. Any questions?
Yeah, question to the team. Do we have test and quality issues already created? Is the burn up factoring anything for testing?
This burn up includes every issue in the epic. Some of the testing issues are under the epic. I'm not sure if every single testing issue is under the epic. So I can circle back to double check, but I know that there are testing issues in those epics.
And can we please work as a team and have it measured captured here, so then we are confident that if it's closed out, it includes quality and we're shipping with test and validation.
Yeah, maybe Wincy can help me to identify the testing issues then associated to the epic 6160.
We haven't got a new issue. We're testing epic issue this morning. I just need to follow up on that if it has everything or not, but I'll make sure that it's listed there. Will do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinci.
Yeah, this burn up chart is from the epic 6160. So you can create a sub epic or just associated issue to that epic, and we can organize that accordingly. Yep. Other questions? Thank you very much. Have a good day.